Every third build of the month, my wife Rachel gets to pick whatever she wants and I will build it. That's the deal because I'm using our babysitter fund to build. But I'm not going to do what she asked me to do today. That's not an unusual occurrence in relationships. But she's actually been asking me to build this chest for a long time, and I kept telling her no. So today I'm going to do the chest instead of what she asked me to do. You see the theme here? The cool thing about this chest is that it's born from failure scraps. Scraps from past projects that ended in misery. And there's a lot of them. So let's do it. Here are the scrap piles of misery. I have 3 full boxes of scrap wood. And you can see my honeycomb shelves actually made it into the pile. Thank you very much, movers. We've got a number of stray boards and a lid to a coffee table project that never saw the light of day, thankfully. But first I'm going to have to get rid of the other project that I was supposed to be working on. Alright, I'm going to cut 2 pieces at 16.5 inches and another 2 at 36 inches. These are all 1x12 stock, and I will make a cut list on my website and you can check that out. Set your Kreg jig to accommodate 3/4 inch material, and we're going to place 3 holes on each side of the shorter boards. Using a combination of wood glue and clamps, I'm going to join the short pieces to the long pieces to build a simple box. Use 1 1/4 inch pocket screws and attach the short boards to the long board. Flip it over, apply wood glue, and do the same for the other side. By using clamps, it helps eliminate the chance that the piece will slide from the glue. Sometimes I like to use my rubber mallet to adjust the piece, but in actuality I'm just hitting it off of the end of my workbench. Yeah, I don't think it moved at all where I wanted it to. Alright. Next up, we're going to build the lid, and I'm going to join a bunch of these scrap wood boards that I cut down to 36 inches. This last piece I'm going to have to rip on my table saw. I'm going to move the boards over to my pipe clamps, turn them on their side, and apply wood glue. Next, I'm going to vary the way in which the wood grain goes by looking at the side of each piece. And this will help prevent the lid from warping. You see I'm flipping the pieces over as needed to make sure the grain is in the opposite direction. Finally, I'm going to wipe the excess wood glue that got squished out with a wet paper towel. Do this because the stain won't take to the glue, even if you try and sand it. Next up, I'm going to take this failure of a coffee table part and cut it down with my Ryobi handsaw. I need it to be 18 inches wide. Yeah, that wasn't happening. A valiant effort though. I'm marking out where I'm going to put my pocket screws to attach the bottom to the main box. I should have done this before I joined the main box, but I didn't. So, yeah. I just make my way along the board, clamping it and drilling. I'm going to throw some of this Titebond 2 on and follow it around the perimeter. I'm going to throw some clamps on the side just to keep it in place so it doesn't slide around, and screw it up. Before I paint or stain or do anything, I'm going to use wood filler to fill in all of those holes because I actually want to use this chest for blankets and such. And I don't want any splinters. Set my compound miter saw to 45 degrees. And we're going to do a little bit of trim work. Cutting down 4 1x2s at 19.5 inches and 4 more 1x2s at 37.5 inches. And that's what I'm going to use as my top and bottom trim. Those lengths denote the longest point in the mitered cut. That makes sense? I'm going to put it on my website, so don't worry about it. So I do this just to remind myself where I need to make the cut. It's a visual reminder. I'm a very visual person. I'm using my pneumatic brad nailer with 1 1/4" brads, and this is really fun to do. I should do this more often. We should do this more often. It's a date. I'm going to throw some glue down. Before attaching it, I think it's easier to do it 2 pieces at a time to make sure that your angles line up. So I slid it to the end of my workbench, and I'm going to fit this angle in and then attach the trim as I go. I do this rather than attach the one piece and then the next piece and the next piece so that there aren't any huge gaps and I can make adjustments on the fly. And one for good measure. As I make my way around the trim, things are getting progressively worse. But that's why they made wood filler. You should call it suck eraser. That's what it is. It erases your suck. And if it doesn't, well, you just put that part in the back where no one will see it. Next up, I'm going to spray paint the 2 storage chest handles and the screws that go along with them. I actually ended up changing out the color of the paint. The black was a little bit too abrasive. In an effort to not make this video 20 minutes long, I cut out the staining and the clear coating part. I'm going to put that up on my Facebook page, and it's going to be great because it's a really cool process. If you're into this distressed, rustic, junky look, you're going to love it. So onto the hinges. I placed these about 4 1/8 inches off of the end, and I'm going to pre-drill and attach them with the screws that were provided. I've actually never used hinges before in a build. I was going to for that coffee table that was awful, but I never got that far. So I say that because I don't really know what to do after this part. See, I need a way to attach the lid to the hinges, and I only have 2 hands. I am but a man, so this is what I came up with. I'm using the ladder to support the weight of the lid and then the clamps to just sort of keep it close to where I need it to be. And then I can adjust it with my hands free. You know, I did awful on the SATs, but this is pretty brilliant. And you can't test for this stuff, people. All I'm saying is that I might be a genius. Found this cool latch and spray painted that as well, and I'm just going to pre-drill and place that in the center of the chest. Lock it if you want. And finally, I'm going to attach the 2 storage chest handles, and I'm going to pre-drill them at the center point of the sides and screw them in. Looks pretty good.